Hello, Math Masterminds. Today we're going to be working with a new concept, mean absolute deviation. Now, before you panic, it's not a difficult concept. The words that describe the concept is the most difficult part. But let's break it down. Once we take a look, mean basically means average. You know how to calculate an average. Absolute, we're going to be working with absolute value. And you've practiced with absolute value, which is the distance. And deviation just means difference. So in short, you may hear me refer to mean absolute deviation as MAD. Let's take a look at some examples. Here I'm given a data set. Now I organize my information in a table because I like it to be organized and it helps me not forget any steps. So I suggest you use a table just until you get familiar with the process. So I'm given my data set, and now I'm going to take that data set and I'm just going to list them so that I can calculate the sum. And remember, we calculate sum by adding. So once I list my data set, I'm now going to add. I get a sum of 348. The next step, calculate the average. The average means I'm going to take my sum divided by the number that's in my data set, which is 6, and I get an average of 58 or a mean of 58. I'm going to take the mean and just write it in column 2. So I'm just going to list that average or mean. Now for step 3, I'm now ready to take the absolute value. That's what the symbols mean, absolute value. And then we're going to do that by subtracting, finding the difference. So here, 63 minus 58 gives me 5. 55 minus 58 normally will give us -3, but because we're taking the absolute value, we always get a positive value. We cannot travel a negative distance. So I'm going to go ahead and do the calculations for each. And once I've calculated the difference between my data set and the mean and taken the absolute value, I'm now going to add those differences. So now I'm going to add 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 3. And when I get my sum of 18, I'm going to take a second average. So I'm going to divide by 6 again. And this time I get an average of 3. The 3 represents the mean absolute deviation. Okay? Process is a little longer, but again, the steps you should be familiar with. Let's try another one. My data set, this time I have 5 numbers in my data set. I'm going to list them to calculate my sum. And once I add them, I get a sum of 58. I'm now going to find the mean by dividing 58 by 5. And here I get 11 and 6/10. Yes, we will have decimals. So now just list that average in column 2. And now we're ready for the absolute value by finding the difference. So I'm going to do that for each value. And now I'm ready to take my second sum. So I'm going to add 4 and 4/10 plus 1 and 6/10 plus 6/10 plus 2 and 6/10 plus 4/10, and I get a sum of 9 and 6/10. Take an average again by dividing 5, and I get an average of 1 and 92 hundredths, and this becomes my mean absolute deviation. And basically what that tells me is that my numbers in my data set are close in value. It deviates about 1 in 92, an average of 1 in 92 hundredths. So go ahead and try some of these in today's activities. If you need any assistance, press the help button in our virtual classroom and come see me in Google Meet.